Rain is crazy. I cut my grass last night.
I did yesterday.
All right,
afternoon
we're going to
myself.
call the meeting to order, and we will start with our prayer and our pledge. Most Heavenly Father, we come before you humbly, and we ask that you will just call us to hunger for you and thirst for righteousness. And may we not want the things of this world, but to want you only and to further your kingdom. Pray for our town that you will make this town better, and that the decisions that we make will do so. Pray that all of the decisions that we make will be done seriously, and everything will be done with consideration of our people. And even when we don't fully agree, that we will respect one another. And pray that we thank you for this rain, and pray that everything that we say and do will be glorifying to you. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Before we get started on the public comment period, I believe at our last meeting there was a little confusion and frustration about how the meeting plays out. I'll fall on the sword for that. I thought I described or explained it, but maybe I did not. The public comment periods, you're allowed 3 minutes to speak. It's your time to speak. It's not a back and forth. It's not for us to answer questions. Most bodies have one public comment period. We have 2 public comment periods. That way, if once we've gone through our business, you want to speak again, we give the opportunity to do so. If we have a council comment period time at the end, I think this is where people were frustrated when we were just sitting silently and not responding. We have a council comment period toward the end. If members of council want to speak to points that were made or anything, they have the opportunity to do so at that time. In addition, as I've explained, we're all happy to come down and have one-on-one conversations after the meeting. We make ourselves available for that purpose. So I wanted to do a better job of explaining how the meeting goes, and because above all, we want you to have your opportunity to speak. So our public comment period, we ask you to state your name and address, give forms to our clerk. I have Carrie Clarl first, so I will call you up at this time.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Clarl. I live at 203 Man Road. I believe you didn't know much about data centers in 2023 and 2024. You did little or no research, and you bought the sales pitch of the FCDA CEO, who was looking for dollars for Tyrone and was not qualified to make the statements she did when she minimized tremendously the harmful effects of data centers. She stated the wetlands would not be impacted. She stated that all power and water needs were shown to be available for the project. She stated that water usage was not a concern. She stated that the noise would be minimal. She could not know any of that. We need to know specifics before any permits are even considered. This site sits in a significant groundwater recharge area, and I have a map that I would love to let you guys pass around to show where this is. Groundwater recharge areas are protected under the Georgia Planning Act and the Georgia EPD. Project Rita poses risks to the groundwater which supplies wells in the area as well as to the health and quality of life of Tyrone residents and beyond. If there's any groundwater contamination, we all pay the price. We need baseline studies on noise and water and air quality. Studies done by environmental engineers with expertise on groundwater recharge areas and closed-loop systems. This data center will be a health risk and a nuisance. If you're honest with yourselves, you now know Project Rita is not the benefit you thought it would be when some of you voted for it. I have yet to hear the benefits of Project Rita other than to provide tax dollars. The number of jobs is low. The good community partner line is trivial. I don't care if they invest in local AI training or nonprofits if my well dries up, my drinking water is contaminated, or I hear a buzzing noise 24/7. Please do not minimize the risk of this data center by stating that it will only be 8% of the size of QTS. That is offensive to those of us whose wells and drinking water will be at risk. I read the March 21st letter from Microsoft. It is all vague, happy speak. No numbers, no quantities. For example, if cooling system maintenance generates atypical wastewater, they will coordinate with the sewer provider to ensure the wastewater is acceptable for treatment. I researched the meaning of their innocuous term, atypical wastewater. It includes emergency chemical spills, antifreeze and glycol releases, heavy metals, and biocides, which can overwhelm standard municipal treatment facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Larson?
Eric Larson, 105 Kelsworth Way. Worked with a guy once, his name was Damon Asper. And he said, in order to do something, you have to do something, right? And I always kind of lived with that thought, right? And I guess I was a little frustrated that last week I brought up, which is true empirically, that you keep saying on your website that this data center was approved and it was never approved. You approved the rezoning and you advertised it that way. So we got it, in order to be honest and to trust the people behind me who are frosted at this stuff, you got to start telling the truth. And there's one truth, and you can go back and you can look at because I've looked at them, right? I'm not an idiot, okay? You all approved a rezoning, you didn't approve a data center, so you got to eat that. You break it, you buy it, okay? Item 2, I also brought up, my wife did too, we didn't ride in the same car, but we both brought it up. You got to tell us why you want to do this. Nothing, crickets. You know, we asked you that last week and none of this stuff happened. In order to do something, you have to do something, okay? People expect information and we got nada. We got zero. I mean, you know what? I went to West Point, okay? 5 words I learned the first day there: take care of your soldiers. You want to be successful in the military? Take care of your soldiers. 5 things. That's all you got to do, right? Take care of your constituents, okay? That includes people from Kirkley Road, from Bohannon, from Mann, from Trickham Road. You even said in your prayer, you know, Mayor, consideration of people, okay? You know, I just retired and I got nothing better to do, okay? I know what happened. I know where the bodies are buried, right? I know what was said and what wasn't said. You got to stop gaslighting us and you got to tell the truth. That's just how it is, right? I can't trust you because you keep blowing sunshine up my ass, right? You approved a rezoning and you didn't advertise it. You guys got to own this. You break it, you buy it.
And Ellie Varela?
Good evening, council and staff. My name is Ellie Varela, and I live on Man Road. I'm here to continue to state my opposition against Project Rita. I want to start, though, by saying that there are so many positives to living in Tyrone. I love living in Tyrone. I've lived here my entire life, minus a few years. And I always speak very highly of our community and the people in it. But adding a data center is like placing a dense fog over all the good that you've accomplished for Tyrone. It will be like looking through a dirty window pane for the rest of Tyrone's existence. All because we couldn't take accountability, think outside the box, and at least try to stop Project Rita together. It is a proven fact that data centers affect water supply, wastewater systems, stormwater, drought resilience. Is Microsoft able to prove that non-cooling water and wastewater uses will not overload public systems or reduce water pressure? Discharges of wastewater can overwhelm treatment plants or cause sewage backups if the local infrastructure is too small. Would Microsoft disclose every water service agreement, will serve letter, utility commitment, capacity reservation agreement, tariff, private supply contract, drought contingency provision, and side agreement that governs service to the site? We also know that sound from data centers is not just occasional noise. Sources operate continuously. Could be fans, cooling systems, transformers, substations, electrical equipment, and then generator testing and emergency operation adds to louder noise or the low frequency noise. Does the model that Microsoft provided include generator testing, commissioning, maintenance, redundancy, and emergency operation? Where is the quantitative data? Because asking Nikki Vanderslice and her responding with, quote, "the noise will be minimal," is not enough data. I want to also emphasize the importance of extensive emergency preparedness that's needed with a data center. Would the fire marshal, EMS, and police receive a full emergency response plan before the site is permitted in order to know if Tyrone is even capable of handling an emergency? And who pays for that specialized training, equipment, and plan review? And lastly, if you as the council decide to allow this data center to be built, you will never be able to wipe your hands clean. Data centers change over time. Power demands can grow, generators are replaced, cooling equipment changes, water or wastewater arrangements can change, and complaints can reveal more impacts that were not obvious at your approval. From what you are telling us, your approval of the data center site cannot be revoked. So help us. What can we do to stop Project Rita? Let's do our homework together. Thank you.
Next.
I didn't write this down tonight, so I'll try to stay on point. My name's Molly Larson. I live on Kelsworth Way. I guess I'm sort of fixated on these closed loop things, and I did a little bit more research this past week. And I was a bit alarmed to find out that there's really only one data center built, and it's not even the whole complex. It's just one building in Wisconsin that's supposedly going to be like the one we're getting. And it's, you know, okay, closed loop, don't use water, blah, 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 but you've got this closed loop, right? And it gets all the heat from these components. You got to get rid of the heat in that loop. And there's two ways you can do it. One is dry cooling, which is basically sending the heat in that loop to another loop that goes through a bunch of radiator fins, and they blow monster fans over those fins to cool it. Air's not the best conductor, but water's better, so you need all these fans, right? The one unit that has that in Wisconsin has 172 fans that are 20 feet tall for one building, okay? And it's in Wisconsin, which isn't as hot as Georgia, and they've found that that alone doesn't work. So in addition to all those fans, which get cranked up to maximum speed when it's hot outside, from May through September, they need to use the evaporative cooling. The evaporative cooling is like, you know, what they used to use without the closed loop. and they're losing 350,000 gallons per day between May and September because they're having to augment the dry cooling with the evaporative tower, okay? And that building is, that site in Wisconsin, I think it's near Racine, Wisconsin, is still under construction, okay? So that's what they've learned from their one building. They're putting another one in Phoenix, Arizona. I would suggest that all of you get really, really curious about that building because it's in a hot climate like ours, and it's probably going to use a lot more water than what we think it is. The other concerning thing to me is the water in you have two loops, right? Two loops with chemicals in it. It's not just one, it's two loops. And they can cross-contaminate each other. It can make a huge mess. And I've read all this off of the Microsoft website. So, I mean, you've got to believe them, right? Because this is them. But supposedly they build these troughs underneath that catch any of the stuff that drips. How do they treat that? Where does it go? They don't answer those questions. So I guess what I would say, like I said 2 years ago, get really, really curious here. Do your homework. Look at the one in Arizona. It's not supposed to come online until 2027, but I would really, really watch what they do there, because that's probably what's going to happen here.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, next. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Brandon, you want to take us into the budget, please?
Thank you, sir. The next item on the agenda is consideration to approve the FY '27 general fund budget. It is set at $12,770,799.11. The other funds budget, which includes SPLOST, sewer, all those other funds, $6,069,828.71. I want to go through some highlights from my notes for you all. As you'll remember, we did meet. We had a workshop. We had an extensive workshop several weeks ago, and then last week we had the required, or I'm sorry, at the last council meeting we had the required public hearing. Struggling to get my notes going here. I apologize. I just had it up. Okay.
The screen for us, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I absolutely
I
can't.
know.
I don't know why. Okay. So this budget presented is $270,468 less than our current fiscal year 26 budget, which is a 2.1% decrease from last year or the current year. The budget also recommends the property tax millage rate to stay the same at 2.889 mills, which will be the 19th consecutive year at that millage rate. Based on the current digest, the budget anticipates approximately $2 million in real estate, property tax revenue without the millage rate increase. To balance the general fund, the budget includes the use of $3,180,446 in fund balance, along with $55,055 in assigned funds to balance the budget out. As in prior years, a significant portion of this funding supports capital projects and other one-time expenditures. Just as highlights, the Public Works budget is was actually reduced by $870,000, 12.9%. Parks and Recreation increased by $195,000. That increase mostly reflects expanded recreation programming and a transfer of $32,555 to the Founders Day Fund to support that event. The administration budget is up $168,734, or 12.8%. As I explained in the last two meetings, the lion's share of that is Sabita, or software subscriptions, and the biggest part of that is going to be about $160,000 in IT costs, and we are going to go out for a bid to try to get those costs down. But that is our current provider for IT services has gone up significantly on their prices. I'm also tonight, I had attempted, council had requested at the workshop that we look at a pay study, and I reached out to the Carl Vinson Institute at UGA to get pricing for their services on that, and they have yet to get back to me. They're supposed to get back to me this week. I didn't get that today, so hopefully tomorrow. But since you're approving the budget tonight, I would ask to add $40,000 to the admin budget, so that 168 would go up, I'm sorry, to the admin budget, not that 168. The admin budget itself would go up by $40,000 in anticipation of getting this quote. I'm hoping it's not gonna be that high, but I wanna be safe here. But in anticipation of getting the quote for that pay study, and that would be a comprehensive study of all positions in the town. And of course, once we get the quote back, we'll of course bring that to council for consideration, and you guys would have final authority on that as well, as you normally would. Public safety budget is up by $165,014. Most of that is salary adjustments, updated retirement costs, body camera server upgrades, and replacement vehicles. For compensation, this budget includes a proposed 3% salary adjustment for all employees, consistent with the council's direction at the prior workshop. We also, I'm sorry, I've already covered the comprehensive study. General fund review summary. So the most significant revenue increase occurs within licenses and permits, which rises from $228,250 to $619,350, reflecting anticipated development activity. Electricity franchise revenues are projected at $405,000 based on updated utility data, and intergovernmental revenues decline modestly as certain grant activity goes down, predominantly the Pendleton Dam grant. Other funds decreased within the 2017 and 23 SPLOST and sewer funds, primarily reflect project completions, resequence capital programming, and the reduction of debt service obligations as prior commitments mature. We do have planned expenditures that continue to support transportation infrastructure, park improvement, sewer system maintenance, and capital equipment replacement out of SPLOST. And as mentioned at the last meeting, during Sandy's final review of the budget workbook, she found a couple of formula errors that she corrected, and that actually required an adjustment to the bottom line of the budget, but those numbers are reflected correctly now. And with that, I will take any questions you all may have.
Would you just explain for, I guess, just the general public what the other funds budget of $6 million?
Let me bring those up. So you're looking at everything that's not general funds. You're talking about both SPLOST, 2017, 2023 SPLOST. You've got the sewer fund. You have got, let me get to all, I don't have tabs on this. This is a PDF, so I'm used to working with tabs. You got the museum budget.
Are they basically just revenue budgets?
No, there's revenue involved in all the budgets, but they are expense budgets. So you got SPLOST, sewer, museum. What's that? Tree fund, yeah, sorry. There's little obscure budgets. Confiscated asset fund budget for the police department. Founder's Day. So all of those funds add up to that $6 million.
Very good, thank you.
I have a couple questions. With the 3% salary increase above the board, was a leveling system or step system considered at all in terms of employees who have been here but make significantly less? Or are we waiting till the pay study to make any decisions on that?
That this is presented as a cost of living across the board increase. The pay study would help adjust any step. We do have a step system in place based on the 2024 numbers. But no, this is just an across the board cost of living increase. And yes, once the comprehensive pay study is completed by the third party, you all would have a decision to make about that and how to implement that.
So if employees earn a step, would they get a step plus the 3% or only the 3%?
Going back to several years ago, and we actually did it that way, I would say it depends. If council does a cost of living and a merit, but that's been rare in my time here, then yes. It has been rare that we've had funding to do merit increases every year, so that was kind of abandoned. And so, but council has been pretty consistent in presenting or in offering, 2 to 3 to 4% increases over the last several years.
And then with the public safety salary increase, is this outside of the 3% across the board? Is it because of promotions and?
No, they're just the largest department, so that 3% added to their budget had a big
Biggest.
effect, yeah.
Okay. And then the 40% for the pay study, is that reflected in the overall budget right now?
No, that's my ask tonight, is that when you approve the budget, that the bottom line number, that 12 million, go up by $40,000.
So it'll be 12, 8, 14, 7, 99, 11.
That sounds right.
And will we pull that from our fund balance?
It'll be part of that transfer over, yes. Yes, Sandy will, based on what you all approved tonight, Sandy will adjust the numbers in the final document. That'll be published, and it will have to include, yes, the revenue to cover that 40.
Do we know how long that would take to do?
Based on my conversation with the gentleman at Carl Vinson, they are backlogged, so it'd be a few months. But the goal is to have it done by the end of this next coming fiscal year. So by this time next year, we should have numbers to work with.
Okay.
That's the goal.
One last question.
Okay.
You had mentioned the rec department budget. You said expanded programming. What is that?
I have specifics in front of me, Sandy. Do you recall?
America 250.
Yeah, we have America 250. We also have, they're trying to get more programming in and trying to get the programs that the events that we already do, make them better. Kind of just the overall of everything.
I don't have specific classes that were mentioned or anything like that, but I do know that she's trying to attract new classes and trying to attract new.
She presented that to us.
There was discussion, yeah,
Workshop.
at the workshop in March.
I don't recall that, but I don't recall new programming, but I recall America 250. But okay, thank you. Those are all my questions.
Other questions?
No, but I appreciate the in-depth study and catching the numbers that didn't carry over correctly in the spreadsheet. This is our third time hearing it, and every time I hear it, I'm like, you guys do so much with so little. So such a fine personnel and staff that we have that works within this budget, wearing many hats, and I'm just amazed at everything you do. So thank you.
Appreciate that.
Any other questions? Okay. This is, we have already had a public hearing on this, and this is time for the motion.
I would like to make a motion, but before I do, I just want to make a note. I mean, I would really like to see, we have certain items in there for the dams, the works that has to be done. And I know that that has to be done because it's part of Splosh. I'm hoping that with all of the, I don't want to say turmoil, but all of the uncertainty of funds coming in and so on and so forth, I'd really like to see if we could postpone those for another fiscal year. They'll remain on the budget, obviously, but if we could put those particular projects aside and work on the ones that we're presently working on and keep those, that would make me feel a whole lot better. That being said, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 2026-2027 general fund budget of $12,814,799.11.
Is there a second?
You have to add, did he
Oh,
include the 40,000?
And I already
Yeah,
did.
that number.
That number
You added
included
that.
that, yes, it
Okay.
did.
All right. Is there a second?
Yeah, that's the second.
Any discussion now?
Does that motion include the postponement of the dam work? Or,
No.
okay,
No.
that's just a
It
separate,
wasn't
okay,
stated that
thank
way.
you.
Voicing his opinion, is that what we're
Yes, sir.
calling that? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion, questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Excuse me, Mayor, can we have a motion to approve the supplemental as well?
Yes, well, then let me rephrase
Yeah.
that.
I don't think
No,
it would
separate,
take a
separate.
rephrase. It would be Dennis, this would be another motion, right?
I'll make that motion. I'll make a motion to approve the FY 2026-27 other funds budget of $6,069,828.71.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Brandon, comprehensive plan.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. The next item is consideration to approve the 2027 Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee. As you guys are all aware, next year we are due for our next comprehensive plan required update. And part of the Department of Community Affairs rules state that each comprehensive plan must be prepared with meaningful involvement from stakeholders and the general public. This requirement includes 3 mandatory steps: identification of stakeholders, identification of participation techniques, I should say, and conduct of the participation program. So at minimum, the participation program must include formation of a steering committee comprised of stakeholders identified from the community, members of the governing authority, local economic development practitioners, and local government staff. The governing authority's active involvement in plan development is specifically cited in the DCA rules as a mechanism for ensuring the plan will be implemented. So we received 50 applications through an open recruitment process that Philip has been managing. He's been advertising it, and obviously 50 applications is pretty good. We've reviewed those. The goal was to get members that represented a geographic cross-section of the town. We want to kind of cover all 4 corners and all of those things. The selected members that we're presenting tonight cover that area equally, from River Oaks and River Crest in the north through Southampton, Pendleton, Briar Hill, and Lake Windsong to the neighborhoods along Briarwood Road, Castlewood Road, and Far Road. Professional backgrounds on the committee include law, education, nonprofit service, small business, sales and marketing, the military, government, and the trades. The committee also intentionally mixes members with prior planning experience with members who have none. Across the applicant pool, the most consistent theme was an appreciation of Tyrone's small-town character and a desire to see future growth managed in a way that maintains this feel. So the list of members is here in front of you. If you want me to go down the list, I will. Some of the names are probably familiar just from people that we know in town, in a small town like this. But there's your list of prospective members. The meetings, of course, of the steering committee will be.
Hold on just a second.
Oh, sure.
I'm a stickler for at least trying to spell people's names right.
Okay.
Mr. Parnell, isn't it ISIAH?
Okay.
Just take out that first A. Sorry to interrupt you.
We'll get that. Okay, no problem. The steering committee meetings will be publicly advertised. They will be open to the public. That information will be published on our website like a normal meeting. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the 2027 Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee as proposed and authorize staff to convene the committee.
Good-looking group.
I would agree that it's a good-looking group. I didn't realize, is town council representation required, or is it optional? I didn't know that was.
I believe it is required, and I believe there was a question a couple of meetings ago where Philip had asked for feedback from you all if you wanted to serve, and I believe Ms. Whalen was the only respondent.
Okay.
And I believe, Ms. Whalen, you served before on the steering committee, correct?
I did. It was under COVID when we were doing it. It was not fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Oh, and now, this is an open meeting for their meeting, so members of the public are free to come to this
Correct.
meeting.
Ms. Wheeler, are you asking if you can be on the committee?
I don't want to overcommit myself. I was just curious. I guess I missed that piece of it.
Well, we're not limited to this number. That's your desire. I think you are held to a different standard as
No, I will pass at this time. I just was curious if it was required. I don't want to overcommit right now.
all righty. Are there any questions, comments? Okay. Is there a motion to adopt the steering committee?
I make a motion that we adopt approve the 2027, oh no, that's the yeah, 2027 Comprehensive Steering Committee as presented.
A second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, let's talk about massage establishments.
Okay, sir, the next item is consideration to approve updates to Article 8 of Chapter 22 of the Town's Code of Ordinances regulating massage establishments. Your current ordinance was approved in 2004, and based on staff experience over the last several years of enforcing the ordinance and administering the ordinance, we have definitely found some operational enforcement issues that needed to be addressed. I took the ordinance, I made revisions, and then I asked staff, including code enforcement, D, and Philip, to review my input, my revisions. I took their input, made more revisions, and of course we had legal review our overall revisions. I've attached a red line ordinance, and I'll pull that up in just a second, but the proposed revisions include requiring that all massage services be performed by individuals holding a valid state massage therapy license unless otherwise exempt under state law. Relocating massage establishment license fees from the ordinance to the adopted fee schedule, which is something we've been working through systematically in all of our ordinances. Updating application requirements to focus on business operations, regulatory compliance, and verification of state licensure. Requiring applicants to submit floor plans identifying treatment rooms, reception areas, and other common spaces. Establishing permitted hours of operation between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m., requiring massage establishments to prominently display service and pricing information within public reception areas. Prohibiting residential occupancy within massage establishments while clarifying allowable employee break room amenities. Expressly prohibiting sexual contact, sexual activity, and other unlawful conduct on the premises. Requiring massage therapists to display their state license or wear a visible identification badge while providing services. Authorizing inspections during normal business hours to verify compliance with ordinance requirements, and updating appeal procedures to provide for review by the town council. Obviously, we can go over all the red lines, but that pretty much covered most of it. And I'm here for your questions if you have anything. Thank you.
Now it's really not. All right, are there any questions?
10 p.m. seems late. Is that normal hours?
I wouldn't say it's normal. I am open to suggestions on that for y'all.
I'm asleep at 8 o'clock.
I mean,
Is it, from a legal standpoint, what leeway do we have to be telling a retail place what time their hours have to be compared to other retail places?
I mean, you've got an issue that this is not your typical retail, and you have a ability to put local controls over certain activities. I think that gives you a good enough justification to amend those hours if you, in your discretion, want to do so.
Okay.
Yeah, when we update an ordinance like this, of course, we study the ordinances from other cities and see, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're finding out what works in other places. And I don't remember if I added that language or if staff did. But yeah, we're open to whatever suggestions y'all have for that.
Well, I'd just like to say I appreciate the proactive approach of the staff in amending this ordinance. I mean, we all read the paper and we know of the activities that have occurred in other municipalities around us, and we know that they've taken the opportunity to make some changes in their ordinance and in their enforcement. And just the fact that, you know, we're doing this now just to try to make sure that we're in compliance, I think it's an excellent start. And I don't mind adopting it the way that it's written. And of course, if something were to change, you know, if the regulatory environment changes, if anything changes, we always can come back to it and make an adjustment.
I have a question, if Chief wouldn't mind coming up.
Chief, show yourself. And while you're on your way up, we thank you and your team for keeping close watch on our facilities and our massage facilities and keeping them under the law as best you can.
In regards to Ms. Wheeler's question about the hours of operation, in your experience, is the later time something we should consider changing? Is that a time period where they're, in your history in other municipalities and your experience of talking with other chiefs, is that something that we should consider changing?
So of course, if you're trying to eliminate the nefarious actions that occur at some of those places, they can occur at any time of day and night. If you're looking for maybe a good cross-reference example to look at, for example, Plum Yummy is open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. I'm sure you're familiar with them. They're a chain and very reputable. So that's just an example. You guys, I believe Mr. Davenport just told you, have the leadway to choose your hours if you want to. If I had my way, it'd probably be 9 to 6.
Thank you.
Up to me.
Well, your opinion does weigh a lot because you're out there trying to enforce the law, and I appreciate what you're doing. So I think Ms. Wheeler brought up a very good point.
I mean, in my opinion, I just think 10 o'clock is late. 9 o'clock, maybe. 8 o'clock, maybe. Restaurants in town aren't open till 10 o'clock at night. So I think 10 o'clock, for me personally, just opens the window for, like you said, nefarious activity can happen at any time, but the later the hour, I just would like to see it earlier.
Make a proposal.
I would like to propose.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, thank you. That the hours of operation be limited to, at minimum, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Well, it's only an hour. I think it's allows for leeway. I mean, even like Chief said, 6 p.m. I think is a little too restricting, but I'm going to make the motion to say we will have the hours of operation be limited to 8 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Second.
Okay,
Oh, sorry.
Thank you for your second, but I see legal, you seem like you were waiting for something else or seeking something.
I was afraid I missed the times, and I was,
They changed.
I was just kind of rambling for a minute.
I've got the times.
But I was just kind of thinking through in my head what I was trying to say. As one who enjoys to go get a massage, I don't think I've ever had one at 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night.
We have a motion.
As I've made a motion.
Now is when you're
I know. The hours of operation should be limited to 8 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Second.
I have a quick question. Would this ordinance change affect existing massages that are already operating today in town underneath our past ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, so when this change takes place, they will be notified that they're potentially out of compliance if they are operating at a later time?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Ms. D?
And just to clarify that motion also includes the approval of the rest of the ordinance.
Correct.
That's my understanding.
Correct.
The only thing you changed was the time,
Correct.
and you changed it to 8 to 7.
Correct.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. Brandon, are you going to present this next item, or?
Mr. Mayor, I'll be happy to bring up some information on the next item, if that's okay. At your last meeting, the day of the last meeting, we received information, and if you recall, we were operating pretty quickly to get something added to the agenda for the L host, because the governor had decided to expand the special session to allow for communities to put local acts on the books through the legislature to establish an L host if you so desired. In order to do that, you quickly got together and authorized the publishing of a notice to introduce local legislation, which you're required to do to even present an act to the legislature. That ran on June 10th. As a matter of fact, all the municipalities and the county ran that same ad on that same day. Everybody was acting accordingly. To give you an update, Fayette County was able to provide their local act to the legislature yesterday because they met last Thursday. Tonight is your opportunity to consider this local act. And the reason all of the cities and the county have to take it up this way is because you're not just authorizing an L host, a local homestead option sales tax, you're also changing the definition of homestead. So what happens is with this implementation, considering that it's favorably received by the electors at a referendum in November, your homestead would be offset by the collection of the L host. So for example, if your homestead's assessed value was X and the L host collections for that calendar year were X across the board for all homesteads, it could roll your homestead back to zero. But it just depends on how much is collected. And the assessed value would be offset by the collections of the L host, and whatever's left over, if it's not zeroed out, would be your responsibility, but it should be significantly less than what you're paying now. And this is just for homestead property. Because this legislation changes that definition of homestead, each taxing jurisdiction, Tyrone being a taxing jurisdiction that desires to implement this, must have their own local act approved by the legislature. So what you have before you this evening is a resolution to request the legislature to adopt a local act for the town of Tyrone to implement the L host by way of a November referendum, and if it's favorably considered by the electors of Tyrone to implement said tax. I put in the draft resolution January 1, 2028. The reason that date was put in there is the laws that were passed in the 26th session, which all of the laws aren't even available for review except electronically through Westlaw, et cetera. So there's not a real good understanding of the interplay, and the legislature will probably make some more adjustments in 2027. Some jurisdictions have used that date of January 1, 2027 as opposed to January 1, 2028. The advice from the Georgia Municipal Association was to look at using January 1, 2028. I can tell you that Fayette County used a 2027 date, and it probably would be a better idea for you to amend your date to be January 1, 2027. It may not happen in 2027, but it would be a no harm, no foul if it occurred. But if they did change the laws in 2027 to allow it to occur, I wouldn't want you to miss out on that first year of the ability to collect that L host. So it's a long-winded explanation to say, I made a change in your draft from 27 to 28, and that's kind of an overview of how the L host works and why you need to have a local act adopted by the legislature at this session. If this does receive favorable consideration tonight, we will hand deliver this to the legislature first of next week. The special session started yesterday at 2 o'clock. I don't know how long it will last, but it will last as long as it lasts. And you need to make sure it's up there because it's got to go through both chambers, the House and the Senate, to be approved as local legislation. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it has to go through several votes in each chamber. And multiple jurisdictions already have dropped these local acts at the legislature. So you're in good company with a number of other cities and counties doing the same thing. I'll be happy to entertain any questions that you may have.
Just following up from your comment, so the draft that we have before us, it has the 2028 date in it, but you would consider it being changed to the 2027 date.
I would recommend to change it to the 2027 date in the event the law is changed to 2027 to allow an earlier imposition.
Got it. So that'll
I'm
be-
not allowed to just cross that out and initial it. I have to wait for a clean document revised.
You can cross it out and initial it if that's what the vote is tonight. That won't be a problem.
Are there any other questions about this? And as a reminder to the community, we are not asking here or voting here to put it on the ballot. This is to give us the opportunity to, should we choose to do so.
Right, what you're voting for tonight is to request the local delegation to introduce into the General Assembly to allow for this referendum question to go on your ballot in November to implement the L host. If they pass it, it will go on the ballot, in November.
Oh, okay. All right. Questions? All right. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to, let me put my glasses on, to approve a resolution requiring the General Assembly for the state, the General Assembly for the state to pass local legislation calling for a referendum determining whether to impose a local homestead option sales tax or LHOS for Fayette County with the change to the date, changing it from 2028 to 2027.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good. All right, Jake, this is the first time you've done this?
It is, it is.
All right, you're about to get a lot of questions.
I hope so, I hope so.
Jake, what microphone number are you on?
I'm on number 1.
All right, let me turn you down a little bit there.
Here, I'll push it back. Can y'all hear me okay? Still?
Yes.
Good deal. Good evening. Town staff is requesting consideration to award the 2026 Stormwater Inspection Services Project to Integrated Science and Engineering in the amount of $15,350. Per our stormwater management plan approved by the Environmental Protection Division, we are required to inspect 20% of our MS4 inventory over 5 years. So what I do is I inspect the ditches, the outfalls, and the detention ponds, and then we consult with Integrated Science and Engineering to do the catch basins and the pipes. And the reason we do that is not only because they have the equipment to do so, but also they submit to us a maintenance summary of each structure, and we use that to provide to Mitch and his guys to do what they can with those structures, and we also use that to provide to our contractors who go out and do the work, the preventative maintenance for those structures as well. So that's one component of this proposal. The other very valuable component is the GIS portion of it. So once they get done inspecting those structures and once I get done inspecting mine, I send them my information and then they include their information into our GIS system. So they'll update our maps for us, which we use to submit in our annual report to the Environmental Protection Division each year. So it's very helpful. It saves a lot of time and it's helpful for our guys as well to see what they're looking at and to do maintenance on our end as well. So we're currently on year 4 or 5 of our 5-year plan. So by the end of this year, we should be at about 80% inspected for each of our structures. So right now, By the end of this year with this proposal, we'll be at about 85%. So we're getting ahead of the game with our inspections. We did some catch-up from last year, so now we're trying to get ahead to drop that number from ISE cost-wise for the next 2 years. So we're moving in the right direction with inspections and trying to get ahead of the game with it, so.
Very good.
Does anybody have any questions?
I do. What have we done in the past? Who has done the inspections over the last 4 years? And the second question is, don't we have a set of cameras that we can do that ourselves?
Yeah, so your first question, before last year, so we did use integrated science and engineering last year to catch up. Before that, we did it all in-house. So we have quite a bit of structures to do. Just for example, pipes in town, we have about 1,210. Structures, we have about, I did the math here, about 1,700. So it's quite a bit to keep up with, and that's outside of the ditches and the outfalls and the detention ponds. So it's a lot of time. And in order to accurately inspect those, that's why we have ISC go out and do it and provide us that maintenance report, because it's helpful in doing maintenance on those. Rather than speeding up and doing the inspections and not getting a good report for our contractors, it gives us a very well-written report we can provide to do preventative maintenance and take care of those structures as needed, and to take care of our infrastructure, to make sure to ensure it's performing properly. We do have to answer your second question, we do have a pole cam that we use to drop it in manholes and get pictures of those pipes and whatnot. But when it comes to kind of cleaning them out and giving us more accurate visual information, they have little cameras they can drop in the hole and in the manhole, and little controllers they can drive through the pipes and everything to take pictures and videos of what we can't see. So that's the other portion of it that is very helpful. Not only the time aspect of it, but also the accuracy of the maintenance report. So,
Right.
yes, sir.
So for the $15,000, how many, just approximately, what is your thoughts on how many they'll actually be able to take care of? Remind
Yes.
me again, I know you mentioned it before.
Absolutely. So this year, they will inspect about 254 pipes
thank you.
total, and 366 structures. So what we report to the Environmental Protection Division are the pipes and the catch basins. So I know throughout the proposal, it has type A and type B structures. So our type A structures are our junction boxes and our catch basins, which is what we report to EPD. The type B structures are inlets, are flared into the pipes and stuff like that. And that's more so to ensure that our infrastructure is performing properly for the town. So that's also a very important component. It may not be reported to EPD, but it's still important for our maintenance records and whatnot.
So in theory, next year, when we do the 5th out of the 5 years, then we're going to start all over again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So for example, we were behind a little bit last year, so our proposal and our contract last year was about 25,000. So we had to catch up there. We had about 30% inspections to catch up to where we are now. So that's why this year, we got ahead of the game last year, so we're about 15,000, and we're expecting next year to be less. And then the following year, we'll be starting that new plan. We'll submit a new one to EPD for their approval, and then we'll get that started once again.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Jake, I just want to say you're a class act. I had an opportunity to ride with you one day, and we were out in the field looking at something else, and you got a call, an emergency call from a citizen who had an issue, and you responded right away. And I saw you, coordinating with many other subcontractors to get that work resolved. And I think that, we all put plans in place to do this work and to have a certain number of things done, but things do happen. And I just appreciate the effort that you put in. So good job.
Anything else? Good job, man. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to award the 2026 Stormwater Inspection Services Project Number PW 2026-10 to Integrated Science and Engineering in the amount of $15,350.
Second.
Get a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, public comment. Same rules apply. We invite you to come forward at this time. State your name and address, 3 minutes. And If you have not filled out a form, please do so.
My name is Kenny Lewis, and I live at 205 Ashmere Court. So, first of all, thanks for adding the second public comments section at the end, because something was brought up in the meeting that I wanted to talk about, and that was the dam project. So, the Adams Lake Dam project has been kind of being drawn out for a while, and I just want to try to make some progress on that, because at the last inspection that they did in 2023, they commented on the overgrowth of the dam. So as a homeowner on that dam, I need to figure out what the town's gonna do, because I own part of that property, and do I need to start cutting down trees, doing what I need to do? So I would just ask to not postpone the dam projects as part of the budget, because I feel like I can't really decide which way to go, because I don't really know what the town's position is on this. I thought when we were going through this process, it was going to be more of a formal process, and we haven't gone through, condemnation appraisals. We haven't done the things that the town would normally do to acquire that property. So I'm trying to figure that process out, and would like very much to get some answers. I don't think any of the council members have reached out to actually take a look at how our land is being affected there with the removal of all those trees. Like for me, I will lose every bit of privacy in my backyard. So it's kind of a big deal. And the other homeowners on that dam, they're less affected, because you're taking a smaller portion, or a portion that's outside of their privacy structure, that is just going to mean less land maintenance for them, a lower landscape bill. So I would appreciate some communication with the council, with the town on what we're doing. So if I'm in a compromised position right now, because if something does happen, I've been waiting on the town to kind of move forward on this. So, thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else?
Eric Larson, 105 Kelsworth Way. This kind of goes back to this whole idea behind like taking care of your constituents, right? I guess this all started when Peachtree City shut down that golf cart path over there by Kedron Hills, right? I mean, like, what kind of people do that, right? And then what's frustrating me even more is it costs us, if I want to drive a golf cart in Peachtree City, it costs me $250 a year, right? It costs them 15, and we charge them 60. And the reason I'm kind of frosted here is we had this event, like Tyrone is starting to do more innovative things. So I live on Tullamore, which is the Audubon for all these people from Peachtree City pouring into Tyrone. Not one of them had a Tyrone golf cart sticker on. I know I can go into Peachtree City, and if I don't have a sticker, they'll give me a $500 ticket. Right? There's got to be some kind of, things got to be leveled out here. Right? We charge them 60, right? They charge us 250. Now, I'm not saying we should charge them 1,000, right? Because I don't think we can have some kind of like crazy strict, this ICBM like, escalation thing, right? But I think they need to be more reasonable with that number, right? I mean, they tie it back to some kooky study where how many people and how much does it cost, and it was nonsense, right? I mean, I could do any kind of study like that and come up with some number, right? I mean, it's asinine, right? There should be a reasonable, because the people that are going in there we're not doing donuts on their golf cart paths, right? We're spending money in Peachtree City, right? I think we ought to pick up the blower and call these folks and say, can we be a little more reasonable, right? Because, I mean, times are tough, right? I mean, $250 for a family of 5, price of groceries, gas, whatever else, right? Whatever. I just think that's something we could work on, right? Right, something that I think would be positive. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Ellie Varela on Man Road. First, something that came up in the meeting was the massage ordinance. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Obviously, there's discussion on that. But coming as a small business owner, I've worked in the wellness space for 10+ years and as a small business owner. I think that was a little bit short on the timing. That takes away like 3 hours, from a massage person, a massage therapist. So that's just my 2 cents, just to think about a small business who may be in operation now, how much they're losing. It does not affect me personally at all, so that's just speaking as a small business owner. Now, I also, this is not planned, but I printed off the Microsoft email Tyrone Data Center concerns. I'm just going to go through until the timer beeps on some thoughts. They start by saying that we recognize the data center development raises important questions, particularly around air quality, public infrastructure, long-term community benefit. Then in their list of many questions, air quality was not addressed at all. Then they go in to say, to support the town's review, we're attaching a more detailed set of technical responses. Okay, I went to Georgia Institute of Technology. There's no technical in here, okay? Yeah, go Jackets, yeah, I know. We're not dumb people. We can read numbers. If we can't, at least let us try, What are the projected peak daily water use per building? No number. Let's see. What is the temperature of discharged water? No number. On the power and energy part, I assume you're all doing a lot of research here because many of the questions, the answers are to be determined by final building design. What is the estimated daily worker vehicle traffic during peak construction? 500 to 600 worker vehicles arriving daily per building, dumping out during rush hour. They say departing in the late afternoon. That's rush hour. If you've driven down 74 during rush hour, it's not great. What are the projected decibel levels at the property line, including generator testing? No number. There's no number. It says, noise studies are performed during design to determine sound levels at the property boundary. What does that mean? Like, we want numbers. We want to understand how it's going to really affect our life. What is the total acreage disturbed versus preserved on the site? No number. Site-specific acreage disturbed versus preserved will be determined during design and permitting. I assume those numbers will come to us. Let's see. What happens to water usage during declared drought conditions? There's no plan given. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next.
Carrie Clarl, Man Road. We've been told that Project Rita is a done deal. Nothing can be changed. Are you going to accept the risks and willingly place them on this community, or will you work with us to eliminate the risks? Would any of you feel differently if you lived within a mile of this, or if your well was located within a mile? I hope you'll look at the map that I presented, because that entire northwest corner of Fayette County is a groundwater recharge area. And I'm astounded that this could be considered an appropriate facility to put on that land. We were not told about the data center until the plan to annex and rezone was already in place, and that was not right, even if it was legal. Now we're at a disadvantage because we have to try and educate you about data centers. The fact that Microsoft will no longer use NDAs is zero consolation to those of us who are threatened by this data center. We've also been told there will be no more data centers in Fayette County, as if that should make us feel better. That property was a bullseye for the FCDA. The CEO may have been doing her job, but you weren't doing yours. She has stated that she had to look out for the 127,000 people of Fayette County, not the 200 or so who were affected by QTS. Who cares about those people? And now the question is, who cares about us? I hope you do. The very neighborhood that you so proudly display in a big photo in the lobby outside is one of the neighborhoods that is most at risk by this data center. If residents on Man Road, Trickham Creek, Kirkley, Landrum, and Bohannon, and those in River Crest and River Oaks are too remote for you to care about, please think about whether you would want your kids or your grandkids living near a data center. The distance from the corner of Rita Building 2 to the Kirkley Road entrance of Rivercrest is less than 1,400 feet. Is that an acceptable buffer to you? This statement is not personal against any of you. But in your capacity as public servants, those of you who welcomed this failed and failed big. You failed your constituents and you failed those of us in proximity to this data center. You failed this town that we love. So what can we do moving forward? Are you going to keep telling us your hands are tied, that you can't do anything? Because if that's the case, you will fail us again. Please figure out what can be done. Work for your constituents. Instead of doubling down on a bad decision, I ask you to double down for the people of Tyrone.
Thank you.
Next.
My name is Manfred Claw. I live on 203 Man Road. I didn't really know what my wife was. She just spoke what she said, and my comments are much shorter than that, but I think she hit the facts. In the last meeting, Mrs. Hunter mentioned that the town council approved this data center and it cannot be revoked. But she also said,
He's talking about you.
Ms.
yeah,
Whalen.
I don't, okay.
maybe you were sitting there, I don't know. Oh,
It's
sorry.
Whalen, not Wheeler.
This is Mr. Hunter.
I'm
That's
Mr.
Oh,
Mr.
sorry,
Hunter.
sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah.
No worries.
That's okay.
You said it, anyhow, but you also said, you're going to do everything possible to speak with Microsoft and hopefully other agencies that are affected by this, or they can help to build a state-of-the-art facility. And that's very, very much appreciated. However, this should be the plan B, still the plan B. If it comes to that, then yes, we all need to, come together and make this a state-of-the-art facility and make it just as safe as it can be. But it's a plan B at this point. Let's work on plan A. And plan A is prevent this from the construction. There must be ways to prevent this. There is too much at risk. I don't know what has been signed or how stringent are these agreements at this point. What can be done to get this revoked? So that would be my request.
Thank you. Next. All righty. Staff comments.
A couple quick reminders, since this is our last meeting of June. America 250 is on July 4th from 3 to 9 at Shamrock Park. We encourage everybody to join us. It's going to be a great program with, and we'll end the night with fireworks. But there's 2 bands, a lot of food trucks, a lot of vendors. And then on July 3rd, town offices will be closed for the July 4th holiday. So that's all I have.
Other staff? All right, council comments.
I have a comment.
Go ahead, Tia.
All right. I have a little statement that I would just like to read quickly. I'm not on social media or things like that, so it's very difficult for me to keep up with all of the happenings that are happening like right now. But I still do have friends who are connected, and occasionally when they hear something or see something, they'll send me a text message. And so I wrote this down. I was recently notified that there were posts about members of the town staff and even disparaging comments about their families. On behalf of the town council, I would just like to apologize to Philip for having to endure such baseless comments. That's where I'm going to stop that conversation. I want to say what I personally think. I personally would like to say that this is our town's best practice not to make comments on unofficial platforms. If we have to make a comment, we'll make it on our website or other official channels. However, when you talk about people and their families, I want to address those individuals or whoever directly. Not only Tyrone, but the world is a better place because of people like Philip and the rest of the staff who dedicate their careers to public service. It takes a tremendous amount of integrity, dedication, and time to serve our local community. We are small, but we are mighty. It makes me sick to my stomach when people who don't lift a finger to improve, add value, or contribute in any meaningful way harshly judge and spread falsehoods about our staff members who have made it their priority to serve our citizens. To all of our staff, I appreciate you and the joy that you have brought our community. As far as I'm concerned, we owe you more than we're able to provide. Now, for the skeptics, I challenge you to get involved and to help to improve the lives of others in our community through service. That's all I have to say, and I won't be addressing that again.
All right, Mr. Campbell?
I just have a question. How are we, maybe you can't answer because Scott's not here, but how are we doing with the emergency exit down at Shamrock Industrial Park? You know where we're at that
Question.
point? If you can't, we'll
Yeah,
wait till.
I don't have a good answer for you right
Okay.
now. I know that there was an approval. It is budgeted, so we should be close to probably getting it ready to bid.
Okay, thank you.
I'll get you something and I'll email it to you.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Any other council comments?
Brandon, once again, would you explain for the public record again, the process of how Microsoft approving a data center versus approving zoning and approving the annexation, how those are different yet the same?
Well, in this case, under the Business Technology Park ordinance, that ordinance requires a development plan. And so what was approved was a rezoning to Business Technology Park with the attached development plan, which was for a data center. So my understanding, and legal can back me up, was that when council voted to approve the annexation and the rezoning, they had also approved the attached development plan, therefore approving the development of a data center on that site.
Is that accurate, Mr. Davenport?
Yes, that is accurate. That development plan is a component of the Business Technology Park, and any change to that development plan would cause it to have to come back again to be reviewed. So it's locked in place what was approved by the mayor and council.
Thank you. And by locked in place, can you explain exactly what that means?
Well, the development plan asks for several types of components. For example, what do you have by way of roadways to bring people onto the site? What do you have by way of number of buildings? What types of buildings do you have? Where are they located? How far are they going to be from 74? Where are they going to be sited on the property? Once that development plan, and I would say a good comparison would be to a final plat. Once you approve a final plat, it's set in stone. That's how it's going to be developed. The development plan is the same way. It's been approved, it's set in stone. Can you change it? Sure, but you've got to go back through the process again to change it. And we have an approved development plan as it was approved as part of the zoning process back when you took this up.
Thank you. And that multiple levels of testing, or not testing, but the DRI was done, and that would have to be redone, is my understanding, if they were to significantly change anything that was on that plan submitted with those requests for annexation and for the zoning change. Is that correct?
That would be my understanding as well. That will be up to the state agencies to make that determination.
Thank you. And is the EPD part of that? Do you recall if the EPD is part of the DRI process?
Typically, DRIs are transportation related, involving Greta and ARC to look at how the impacts are going to occur based upon the level of intensity of development.
And then back to you, Mr. Perkins. Has Microsoft submitted a plan other than the one they did at the very beginning?
No, ma'am. So when people ask about noise and about impacts, we don't have answers to those questions because Microsoft has not completed their design and hasn't presented their design. So until we get those plans and then can compare them to environmental regulations, local regulations, and things of that nature, we don't have answers.
Which would explain Ms. Ali's questions, why there are blanks. Is that not right? Because we don't have a plan to fill in those numbers yet. Correct?
We're just too early in the process. I understand people want answers.
Yes.
We want answers as well.
We
but
do.
We're too early in the process to be able to answer those questions.
Thank you. That's all.
Can I piggyback off of that? So then when those plans are submitted, therefore our review and approval, is that correct?
They'll go through the technical review process, and then yes.
So at that point, we do have a position where we could say, this won't work for,
Absolutely. That's the purpose of that process, is to make sure that all the boxes are checked at all the levels.
and let's just say, you know, hearing the feedback from everybody, and I guess this is a question for legal, if we said we are going to change the zoning or we are not going to allow the data center, would we be then subject to legal action from Microsoft?
Anytime you, as a town, start the process of rezoning someone else's property instead of the reverse, generally that property owner is not going to be cooperative, because if they want their property rezoned, they'll come to you. If you're seeking to rezone their property, there'll be a fight. They're going to make you show what reason you have to rezone that property, because you've already zoned it this district because it was compatible with your land use plan and with all the other documents that you had before you at the time. It'd be an uphill battle, no question about it, as far as a rezoning is concerned. Was that your question?
Yes. So when Microsoft does submit their plans, and correct me if I'm wrong, are you, I believe I saw somewhere where you're pulling together a group of community members?
Well, there have been there's a small group of community members who have or technical backgrounds in engineering and environmental, things of that nature, that have been in communication with the town. They've been vocal with the town. And yes, I have emailed that small group and asked them if they would be willing to meet with staff to provide their input, and for staff to listen to what they have to say. It's not a formal committee by any means with you know,
But we'll get
decision.
guidance
But
and
we are,
input.
yeah, absolutely.
And
We're engaging this group.
so we're not just taking what Microsoft submits and say, okay, put a stamp on it, let's do it. We are going to take input and consideration.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, I can't recall your name, but you did invoke my name, and I'm not sure I said this has been approved in those certain terms, because I just had the clarification made that when council did approve these changes, it is done. It is there, that part of it is done. So therefore, my logic is, let's make it the best it can be. If we challenge, if they come forward with something other than what they presented, we're definitely going to fight for you. We're on your side. We're on the citizens' side. We didn't go say, hey, Microsoft, come build a data center here. That was not our position at all, to be clear. We did not go knocking on their door. It was brought to us with the plan, like we said. So, thank you.
Anything else, council?
I do want to address the gentleman who came about the dam. We hear you, and we'll be able to talk to you after the meeting if you so much care to stay around. Okay.
Um, we approved the budget. Sandy, good work.
Thank you, Sandy.
I know you get here at 8. One time I called you and it was well after 8. So that was a 12 or 13-hour day. Thank you for everything you've done on this and your team. Any other council comments? There is a need for executive session for threatened litigation. Is there a motion to move to executive session?
So moved. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And this shouldn't take long. Is there a motion to reconvene?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?